Now let's turn to the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP, which is seen as one of the four parties that are the front runners in the 2023 presidential election. The NNPP, of course, readying for the official start of the campaign season. This week, the party says it's been busy traveling through the country, setting up offices in all the geopolitical zones and enjoying significant popularity. It's been distributing photos and videos of its presidential candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, traveling around Nigeria and appearing to be attracting considerable attention. So what is the NNPP's strategy going into this election campaign? How does it plan to establish some sort of competitive advantage over its opponents, who seem to have rather formidable political machines that are spread out across Nigeria? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the National Publicity Secretary of the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP, Agbo Major. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Good evening, Nigeria. Tired, are we? You've been traveling around the country quite a bit.
Oh, yes. But it's a job that has to go on.
Yes.
Of course, we've actually been moving around. You know, as at yesterday, we were there in Katsina. I just had to dash back, to be able to keep an appointment with you. But
well, we appreciate that very much. So tell us about your preparations for the onset of the campaign this week.
We are set. One of the things we often say is that ours is a political party that belongs to the ordinary people. That has made our assignment relatively easy. Of course, the places we've gone to, you would have seen that we don't need to do too much, to pull people out to come and listen to our manifestos and our programs. This office opening exercises we've been doing. And so we are set, very, very set. We are the party that is very close to the people. And I can tell you that our manifesto is ready, one of the best in this country, very ordinary people-friendly manifesto. And then our programs are there, and so I can tell you confidently that we're set.
Well, every other party says that they're the party of the people. So, I'm trying to see what difference yours has, or what gives you the extra confidence to say that you're closer to the people.
The difference is that NNPP is not elitist in its operations. I had the PDP spokesman who just left here. If you listen to him, you discover this is a party that is very elitist in its operations, in its orientation. This is a party that will tell you people can go to hell and all of that, like you had him say here.
Well, he didn't say that, to be fair.
But for us, we are the party for the people. The party built by the people, populated by the ordinary people, funded by the ordinary people, and the people have a stake in it. And so we strongly believe that we're unbeatable.
Is that why we don't seem to see your party much in the media eye? We've seen quite a bit of the APC and the PDP, and a lot about the Labour Party, but very little about the NNPP. Why is that?
It depends on what segment of the media you're talking about particularly.
Well, the mainstream media. We expect, you're a mainstream party, we expect that we will see considerable presence in mainstream media as well as social media.
Well, let me let you know that we are a party that is very conscious about the rule of law. We've been very careful about what we do. Our utterances, our appearances using the media platforms, but I can tell you there'll be no time you asked us to come and we're not here.
Well, in fairness, that is true.
Yeah, we've also gone to several other media houses.
Right.
I remember that in the past 2 months I've been here about twice.
Yes.
We've also gone to channels. The two spokesmen of the Presidential Campaign Committee, they are up there, Ladipo Johnson, Barrister Ladipo Johnson, and Honorable Momini. They are there. Everybody is working. And so, then if you want to talk about the social media angle, yes, we're there. We've just finished a 2 days, very intensive workshop, which has produced social media tabloid warriors, and I can tell you that the program ended on Thursday, and from Thursday till now, we've taken the social media by the storm. Nigerians are now beginning to read us again. Apart from the conventional media, we are very now active in the social media too. So, but like every other person would think, we are just about 72 hours from the whistle, you know, and so we'll up our activities using the media.
And as you look at the growing momentum of P2B and the Labour Party and their increasing political clout and the growing threat that they pose to the two dominant parties, do you and your colleagues in the NNPP and your presidential candidate, Rabiu Kwankwaso, regret not building an alliance with P2B and the Labour Party?
I've said it here repeatedly over time that we've no regrets at all, because we were able to marshal out reasons why we thought His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso should be presidential candidate while Obi is his deputy. I think even me particularly here in your studio here, I've been able to say a lot of things, you know, marshal out a lot of points that we think as a party would have guided us in the course of that discussion. Apart from the activities of fifth columnists who vowed never to let that union work. Apart from that too, we discovered that there were several other forces, those who benefit from the status quo as it were, that vowed never to let it be. So we have no regrets. In fact, the job would have been easier for His Excellency Mr. P2B, you know, if he had joined us to work with us as a vice presidential
his team would say we're doing very well on our own. Thank you very much indeed.
Of course, that is what he would say, and that's also what we would say, you know. But
anyway, you've moved on from that, so that's sort of water under a bridge. But you've said many times that Nigerians are tired of the two main political parties, the PDP and the APC. But it doesn't mean that they see the NNPP as the one to restore the fortunes of the country, do they?
Yes, for obvious reasons. Number one, the main character, the presidential candidate, is one man that is very close to the ordinary people. He feels the pulse of the downtrodden.
Yeah, but he's close to the ordinary people in one part of the country.
No, that's not.
You need to be across the whole of Nigeria in order to win.
Whether you like it or not, Kwankwaso is a household name across all parts of the country. Charles, I'm sure you do not know that even in the southeast where you come from, the Kwankwasia movement and the TNM, these two organizations that came in to fuse into the NNPP, are well grounded in those states. Go to Anambra. In fact, we were in Umuawulu sometimes, we were having some drinks with some friends, and somebody who sat next to the founder of my party, Dr. Boniface Okechukwu Anubnam, who is related to him, he didn't know that that was a very active member of the Kwankwasia group. It was when we started discussing. The man now said, I can see that Kwankwaso is coming into your party. I am the leader of the Kwankwasia movement in Anambra State. I can tell you the founder of the party was shocked.
Meanwhile, there are reports of some of the NNPP's candidates in Osun State declaring their support for the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and in effect leaving the NNPP. How much is that likely to hurt the NNPP in the southwest, where it is trying to build support?
Two things. Number one, I will want us to look at that development as an internal issue of the party that is still being investigated. One, we need to properly profile those candidates, to be sure that they are candidates of our party, to also be sure that they are members of our party, and that is the essence of the ongoing investigation. But even if it is established that they are members of our party, you know this is democracy, and it's largely driven by interest. You know, interest drives, you know, the candidates per se. They could have their reasons, of course, for wanting to get out, but that does not in any way affect the party in the southwest like you're looking at it. Look at it, out of the entire number of seats that are being contested for in Osun State, what we saw in that video, just 4 candidates, you know, and I think of the 4, about 3 of them or so are candidates for the state assembly, you know. So the party is unruffled. The party is not worried.
Right.
But I can tell you that we are still investigating, and like I said, the first step is for us to be sure that these are our candidates and that they have value to add. If they have no value to add to the system, that means what we need to do is to dismiss them. I will come back to you by the time investigation is concluded.
Right.
And we are sure of the position of those people who made that statement.
What about the North? Because you do realize that you're facing a very strong challenge in that region. I mean, you have the APC with a Muslim ticket, which is likely to be fairly popular in the North, and then you've also got a Northerner as the presidential candidate of the PDP. Doesn't that give them a competitive edge, or at the very least a strong chance in the region that you see as your stronghold?
Election is all about competition. In fact, it's not right for anybody to think that you would see a candidate and dismiss him as having no chance in an election. That's not the right thing to do or to say. But what I can tell you is, as far as we are concerned, we have no strongholds. We're everywhere in the country. So if you want to talk about stronghold, I can tell you that our stronghold is the entire country. You understand what I'm talking about? So we are not bothered. We don't like talking about other candidates. As a party, we try as much as possible to dwell on issues, what we think we're coming in to do for Nigeria.
Right, okay.
So
well,
I don't want to talk about
right.
Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar as a person. I also don't want to talk about the presidential candidate of APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or his deputy. But what I can tell you is that the Muslim ticket is an aberration, that is not acceptable to Nigerians, irrespective of whatever is. I have listened to a lot of Northerners, Muslims, also coming out to say this is unfair, that this is strange and we won't let it be and all of that. So these are people who think objectively. So some answers have been provided by that mindset that the APC ticket is an aberration. Then in the case of the PDP, yes, the man is a force, that can be understood, but you need to dig deeper into politics in the North. You will discover that he's not in any way comparable in terms of strength, in terms of antecedents, in terms of whatever is the parameter you want to use. It's not in any way comparable to His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, who is the incoming president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Right, you hope. Well, you did mention that you wanted to focus on the issues. So what are the strong points that the NNPP is going to be trying to sell to the Nigerian people during the campaign? Apart
from the terrible challenges we are facing now within the education sector, the incessant strikes, which seems to have defied all solutions, apart from the decaying infrastructures, no roads, the railways are not working. The only one that worked up to about 3 months ago, after a train was hijacked and people taken as hostages, that has shut down now. Automatically, the railway is in comatose. So apart from this massive infrastructural decay, our attention first is to secure the Nigerian people. Because once you have security in place, every other thing falls in. The economy will naturally make progress and all of that. Come to think of it, some schools, we've had cases of schools being invaded and students taken away as hostages and all of that. So even if the students were there now, you and I are parents, will be worried. Every day you'll be worried, I hope nothing goes to happen in my child's school and all of that. So the first thing that we want to work on when we form government in May 2023 is to be sure that Nigerians are safe.
And how are you going to do that?
Well, community policing, the use of the word policing does not reduce it to the conventional police. I've said it here before and I'll continue to say it. Security is about the people. We will get the people deeply involved. They will be prepared to see something and say something. That is the best way to police wherever you find yourself or whatever is the environment you find yourself in. So we'll make it the exclusive business of the ordinary people. The job of the conventional security organizations will be reduced to mere processing of raw information into intelligence to make them actionable. The first thing we will do, like I said, and I'll continue to say, is we'll push the responsibility of securing the country and securing its citizens to the citizens themselves.
Okay, well, we'll be hoping that you will expand more on that during the campaigns, which start this week.
We have a wonderful manifesto.
Yes, I look forward to seeing it.
With all of this,
I look forward to seeing it. Agbo Major, thank you very much indeed. And he is the National Publicity Secretary and spokesman of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. Thank you ever so much.